Hello beautiful people, this is a channel Explore with Pascal. I fully appreciate your support and everything you've been doing to support this channel. Kindly subscribe if you haven't done so, leave a comment and then give me a thumbs up if you like what I'm doing. The notification button is something I need you to keep it on so that anytime your content is dropped, you will be notified to know what's happening. This time we are not exploring, but guess what? I want us to have a conversation. Very recently, on the 21st of March, there was a major incident at the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi. Adum to be precise. What is it that I'm talking about? There was a wildfire. Something that started really small became uncontrollable, and it was so devastating. Very, very, very unfortunate incident, which I think we need to have a conversation about it. You could clearly see the frustrations, the devastations, and the explanations from the people around, and everything you could do was to sympathize with the people around, which is something we need to talk about.
Like to do so sad. I don't move answer. Oh my God. So like I can see with the team. One year old. Put them so sad. What is so sad? No man. The Baba blood go to 1 year. The Baba is Sabbath. The
there is something missing, and that is why I think this conversation is really important. There are people leading us as people. My highest respect to all these leaders who go up and down to ensure that Mother Ghana moves from one step to the other. But sometimes I think certain things are not being done right, and it will take you and me to make this world a better place, to make the people in Kumasi happy people, to make those in Accra, Kantamanto market happy people. So that is why I think this conversation is needed. Now, I just want you to join me whilst I take you into archives, not into deeper archives, but just at the surface, to let you know something that has been happening in connection with what we're talking about. Do you remember that somewhere in 2013, there was a wildfire at Kantamanto, just like it happened in 2025, January 2025 at Kantamanto. Kantamanto markets, as we all know, is one of the world's largest second-hand clothing markets in the world. Yes, it's fully recognized, and so it's one of the significant markets that contributes to the country's GDP and the world at large. But it happened about 13 years ago or 12 years ago. It was burned down to ashes, and people couldn't count their losses. And similar thing happened 12 years after. After a decade, it happened. And this time, it was crazy. And yes, so that is the conversation I just want us to have. We need to visit history and ask ourselves, why is this still happening when this is not happening for the first time? For Kumasi, people in Central Market will agree with me that in 2018, the whole of Central Market was burnt down in Kumasi. Yes, very recently, in 2025, Kwadaso Market was burnt down. And so, I'm sure you're getting what I'm trying to put across. Yes, it was burnt down. And to the west side of the country, in 2022, Takoradi Market was also burnt down. So you begin to wonder, why is this burning down stuff I'm talking about? You are right. If you are wondering, you are right. Just like I was wondering, because I can simply don't get it when we know that fire has been some sort of cycle stuff, some sort of annual thing, annual ritual which keeps happening. Yet we seems not to have any proper remedy about it. And for me, it's very unfortunate. We have a lot of technocrats, SOS, who sits on national television to give us very informative, give us Then just recently, what just happened just some few days ago in Adum, His Excellency, the sitting president now, John Dramani Mahama, was there at the scene to see what was happening.
Panso, I rebel, and if it's our share, and your man say, and for stores are actually na a idea, a your how ye. And Nedika Meda Fire Service for us. And modern boy, to me, Abre, a Jano, Anwase.
Yes, he went there. These are beautiful signs which shows that these leaders are really in touch. These leaders are closer to the situations and they know how the whole thing has been burnt into ashes, or they know how people have lost their properties, people have lost their capital, and they could really see from the faces and look into the eyes of these people and see the kind of pain they are going through. And so when that happens, you feel like, yes, these are the kind of leaders we need. But you ask yourself, what happens after the visit? What happens after those speeches has been given in Parliament? What happens after reports or whatever, investigations or wherever has been presented to these people? In fact, the leadership of any leader is very, very essential when the welfare of the people is carried along with the leadership. So if you're living in your island where you think like, okay, you don't give, about anybody, and that all that you care is for people to worship you, then you end up becoming a failed leader. So very recently, I was very surprised when some group of parliamentarians were proposing a private hospital to be built for them, where parliamentarians will be going there for treatment. Amazing. And I was like, are these people really serious? Do they even care about us? Because if you care about your citizens, why would you ever think of building? So are you indirectly admitting that the kind of health facilities we have back home are not the best? Is that what these people are trying to tell us? And that is what they've made the citizens to be aware, because somebody enters into politics with nothing and come back home with something. And I think we need to really pay attention to this as a people. It's very unfortunate. Now, let me give you pictures of Kantamanto. It burned down into ashes. The people mobilized themselves. The next day, they were on the field, putting up structures. And now, Kantamanto is back. Nobody knows when the next wildfire is coming. But if you continue like this, I'm a prophet of doom. It will definitely happen again. But the most important thing is, how do we prevent this from happening? The statistics I just laid supports that there is no proactiveness so far as the situation is concerned. Nobody gives anything about it. Nobody is educating any shop owner that each and every one. As a matter of fact, we've built just like that. We cannot bring any structure down because these people were putting up these structures when state authorities were their supervisors. Some gave them these permits to build, so you can't blame people building anyhow to block access to these markets when there is an eventuality or when anything happens. You can't blame them because these leaders gave them permits, gave them that authority to build. So this is the situation we found ourselves in. There is no way we can pull down these structures. No way. But what is the education that has been provided now? Has any shop owner at Kantamanto been told to keep a fire extinguisher? If it is about health, we say a first aid. So for now, on assumption that something small happens, people will not just run away to leave the whole market to burn down, but people can use their extinguisher to put it off before authorities come in. Has some people been given that education? The answer is no. Don't forget that the fire that started in PZ, which eventually got down a popular place called Blue Lights, where a lot of sneakers and you know what I mean. That is where all these things are sold. It started small. Either people were present or not, where the fire originated, whether it was as a result of power fluctuations or wherever, maybe if people were around the fire extinguisher, they could have quenched that fire. But it didn't. So the whole place ended up burning down. So please, I think that moving forward, we need to do things right. We cannot continue to allow this to happen. And if it happens, it's a shame. It's a disgrace. What kind of leaders do we have? What kind of people are we? I mean, can't we reason for once? COVID-19 came and the previous administration, I salute. There were some interventions which I fully support and I appreciate, and that had to do with the zipline technology, where till now it is still useful, where medicines are being sent to remote areas where accessibility by road is quite difficult, and all over the world everybody is praising Ghana. Yes, so it means the world keeps growing each and every single day, and we can't be stagnant at where we are. And when we do that, that's lazy. It's a mark of laziness. We need to learn our senses. We need to think without the box. Most often than not, we say that let's think outside the box. No, this time let's be reasonable without the box. Yes, let's do it. We should have modern ways of fighting fire. We shouldn't be relying on these fire tenders. After all, how many of these regions are even equipped to take care of these bushfires or these wildfires? They go there and the fire has already consumed or had already consumed everything. So this shouldn't be an option. There should be people. There should be modern way. I mean, if we can afford to think of buying V8s for a lot of government officials here and there, then I think that we can also find some money. These government machineries, budgets that goes into government machineries, go here, goes there. I'm not a fan of politics, so I don't want to sound political. But the kind of money that goes in there, if we are making it a priority to get one helicopter, which fire service will use to fight fire when it comes, I think we'll be able to do something. Why are we not even thinking in that direction? And you meet people on the street, everybody is saying that at this modern age, we should have something like that, and nobody gives about it. Nobody gives about it. Why? And it's a shame. It's a shame. Don't forget that we've got flooding coming in June, July, and the people in Accra can testify to this. It happens every now and then in Accra. Until now, there are no permanent solutions to it. All that we know are reactions to it. Tidal waves keeps happening every now and then in the Volta region. You ask yourself, what are the interventions that have been put in place to take care of this? No, it happens every year. You want me to add more? Yes, I'm going to add more. The Bagre Dam spillage happens every year. In fact, people have suggested that a lot of dugouts should be dug to collect water for irrigations. in the northern part of the country, because when it is opened from Burkina Faso, it displaces thousands of households, and people needs to move. People have to, their food crops, everything is flooded. Yes, we don't have anything to collect the water, and it keeps happening. I mean, why should we be doing this? Is it not a shame? I feel ashamed to talk about this. Well, this is issues about Ghana. I don't know where you're watching me from. I don't know which African country you'll be watching me from. And I don't know what your situation is. But this is the situation we find ourselves in. And I think it's a shame. Leaders, this is a shame. We are not here to apportion blames to anybody, but we can do better. Yes, but the reality is that end of the day, these people must lead us right. It's not about A or B, but it is about you and it's about me. Until I see you again, respect.